214 horsepower on a naked bike. Winglets creating real downforce at speeds you'll never see on your favorite road. Tell me something. On which corner of your mountain pass do you need aerodynamic support at 170 miles an hour? Something here doesn't add up, and it's not small. The industry isn't lying to you, but they're not telling you the whole truth either. They've convinced you that without a 6-axis IMU, without cornering traction control, without power maps, you're an incomplete rider. That you need a hyper-naked costing over 20 grand to truly enjoy yourself. Machines like the Streetfighter V4 or the 1390 Super Duke R. Masterpieces, yes, but also completely overkill for the real world. Because there's an uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. What if with less power, you were faster? What if a mid-sized naked with 70 horsepower wasn't just more fun, but more usable in 90% of real situations? Today we're talking physics, inertia, electronics, and why sometimes having less makes you better. And that hurts. Let's set the stage. Europe is in a numbers war. Ducati pushes its V4 beyond 214 horsepower. KTM stretches its twin to 1,390 cc, 190 horsepower, 145 newton meters. Variable valve timing, aerodynamics borrowed from racing, electronics worthy of MotoGP. On paper, it's brilliant. But essentially, they're still unfaired superbikes. And that's where the problem starts. Because that level of stiffness, that level of power, that level of demand isn't meant for open roads. It's designed for the track, for perfect tarmac, for controlled conditions. Now look at the other side. Yamaha MT-07, CP2 engine, 689 cc, about 73 horsepower. No absurd figures, no epic marketing. Just a lightweight bike with usable torque and straightforward character. Yes, it doesn't have race-ready suspension. Yes, it doesn't have hyper-naked electronics. But here's the key. On real roads, that can be an advantage. Because where a hyper-naked demands surgical precision, the mid-size naked lets you breathe. It lets you make mistakes and keep going. Its frame isn't a steel beam designed for 300 kilometers per hour. It flexes, it tolerates, and most importantly, it communicates. You don't need a TFT display to know what's happening. You feel it. And that doesn't show up on any spec sheet. Now comes the uncomfortable part, the electronics. Quick shifter, cornering traction control, anti-wheelie, slide control. Sounds like safety, sounds like evolution. And it is, but it's also something else. It's a necessary patch. Because managing 200 horsepower on a naked, without aids, isn't realistic. The bike itself constantly limits its potential. You twist the throttle, but it's the ECU that decides how much power you really get. It adjusts ignition, adjusts throttle valves, controls torque. You're never at 100%, not even close. Now come down to the real world. Mountain road, second gear corners, imperfect tarmac. The hyper naked stays in high gears, engine contained, electronics at work. Too much bike, too little margin. Now the mid-size naked. First, second, third, engine full, direct response. Here, you use what you have, all of it. There's no excess power, but none lacking either. And most importantly, everything depends on you. No filters, no algorithms deciding for you. And then there's the money. Because the premium experience doesn't end at the dealership. More expensive bike, pricier maintenance, wider tires, higher consumption. Everything scales up. Meanwhile, the mid-size naked remains simple, accessible, usable. You don't need to justify it, just use it. So we reach the critical point. Are hyper nakeds better? Yes, on a track, in absolute performance, in technology. But are they better for the real world? That's not so clear. Because on open roads, what matters isn't how much power you have, but how much you can use, and how long you can stay near the limit without the bike overwhelming you. An MT-07, an SV650, a Hornet 750. They're not spectacular on paper, but they make you ride, preserve speed, understand inertia. And when you're fast on one of them, it's been you, not the electronics. So stop just looking at power. Start looking at context. Because more isn't always better. Sometimes it's just unnecessary. Now it's your turn. Do you prefer technological perfection or mechanical connection? More horsepower or more control? Let me know in the comments. This is Countersteer Theory, Throttle, and Judgment.